Okay, so from this class we enter into our main topic, that is microwave engineering. So till now whatever we have covered, it is the requirement to understand this subject, basically the applications which are available in this course, that is microwave engineering. So for that we have been studied the transmission line, which is one of the required topics to understand before entering in the microwave engineering. So before that, let us know little bit idea how this microwave engineering has the role to play in different applications and where from it came. So first, it is having the first application, or you can say the major application was in radar during the World War II. So it is having the major application in terms of radar in World War II. Okay, so after that its growth has been started in terms of some solid state devices, high frequency solid state devices like your pin diode, varactor diode, tunnel diode, all those things. But first major application was comes into picture during World War II, that is in the radar, that is radio ranging and detection. Radio detection and ranging. So it was used to detect enemy aircraft at that time for different countries. So after that, step by step its applications comes into picture, different applications after that, and solid state devices also been manufactured. Then ICs, microwave integrated circuits, that is MMIC, it is known as MMIC, that monolithic microwave integrated circuit, it also been comes into picture. Then different computers, this microwave devices are also been used. And nowadays most rapidly these applications are been going with, like mobile communication, wireless communication, different kinds of networking. Then any kind of wireless communication is in terms of the microwave engineering. So the main source of this concept, that is wireless communication, either it is in the mobile communication or any kind of wireless technology, it is having the base in the microwave engineering. So the first pole was at the time of the World War II. So this radar, which has been most highly used in that time, it was the concept from the concept basically given by the James Clerk Maxwell in 1873. He has given the concept of this EM theory. He has given the concept of electromagnetic theory, what we have been seen up to last class in terms of EM wave propagation, either in free space, any unbounded medium, or either in any transmission line. And he also says that this EM wave propagation, it is the basic idea of light, that the EM energy is been propagated through this wave, some energy is been propagated. So he also says that light, it is also a form of EM energy. Maxwell says that light, it is also a form of EM energy. Okay. Now, after giving this theory, this EM theory and all those things, EMA propagations by Maxwell's, Heinrich Hertz, who was a German professor of physics, he has understood all his theory and he has started his experiments depending upon this EM theories and EMA propagation. So after his theoretical explanation on this EM theory, that is for the EMA propagation and all those things, Heinrich Hertz, he started doing all the experiments. He started doing all the experiments related to EM theory or EM wave propagation. So based on the theory which has been given by the Maxwell regarding this EM wave propagation, whatever the wave equations we have been seeing, it is due to the contribution of the Maxwell's in terms of Maxwell's equation. So by taking all those equations we have been seeing how this EM wave having the propagation constant, all those things into they have been coming into picture. So after that it is having the major application in the World War II. Then these applications are the results of the experiments what was done by the Heinrich Hertz depending upon the theory which was given by the Maxwell's. Okay, so he started doing these experiments within the period of 1887 to 1891. So in this period he has validated all the Maxwell's theory of EM waves by experiments. Within this period he has validated all the theories whatever the Maxwell's has been given, either for the static case either for the time varying case. He has been started doing the experiments and he has validated all those things. So it is a little brief history about the microwave engineering. So how this microwave engineering comes into picture and all those things, it is a brief, it is a quite long story. So gist of this is that major application was in World War II in terms of radar, and it is the result of the Maxwell's contribution in EM theory in terms of EM wave propagation. Then this theory has been validated by Heinrich Hertz by doing the experiments. Okay, practically he has been validated all those theory which has been given by the Clark. So let us move further after this. So if we goes into the topic, so first of all we need to know what are the different frequency bands are there for the microwave engineering. So this microwave engineering, it relates or it takes into consideration for the frequencies starting from the 300 megahertz to 300 gigahertz. But before that let us go with the frequency band designation. How much frequency is been used for different application, what is the range for that. Frequency band designation. So let us start with different frequencies. it is ELF, then SLF, VLF, LF, MF, then HF, VHF, UHF, infrared, then light, visible light, X-rays, gamma rays, and cosmic rays. So starting from 30 Hz and 300 Hz, 3 kilohertz, 30 kilohertz, 300 kilohertz, 3 megahertz, 30 megahertz, 300 megahertz, gigahertz, 30 gigahertz, 300 gigahertz, then 430 terahertz, and it is 10 to the power 15 hertz, is 10 to the power 18 hertz, then which one of these, light, okay, one I have missed in between, that will be your EHF, so your infrared light, X-rays, gamma rays, this is cosmic rays. Okay, so these are the specified frequency band designation starting from the ELF. ELF means extreme low frequency. Extreme low frequency, it is having the range from 30 Hz to 300 Hz. Then SLF, it is super low frequency starting from 300 Hz to 3 kilohertz. Then VLF, that is very low frequency 3 to 30 kilohertz. Then LF, low frequency 30 to 300. Then MF, that is medium frequency, that is from 300 kilohertz to 3 megahertz. Then HF means high frequency, it is from 3 to 30 megahertz. Then VHF, very high frequency, it is 30 to 300 megahertz. Then UHF, ultra high frequency, UHF is ultra high frequency, it is from 300 to 300 megahertz to 3 gigahertz, or you can say 0.3 gigahertz to 3 gigahertz. Then SHF, super high frequency, it is 3 gigahertz to 30 gigahertz. Then EHF, extremely high frequency, that is 30 gigahertz to 300 gigahertz. After that it is infrared, 300 gigahertz to 430 terahertz. Then visible light, 430 terahertz to 10 to the power 15. Then in this way we are having all the frequency band designation for different kinds of signals, whatever the possible signals can be there. But if we have been talking about the microwave engineering, then we have been specially dealing with some specified frequency bands for the microwave applications. So these are the 8 bands. After that, some other frequency bands have been starting. So I'm just writing that one. That is microwave frequency band. These are the frequency band, different frequency band designation. Out of this, we have been choosing a particular band for microwave applications, that is microwave frequency band. So they are like this. Just drawing by hand, that will be good. First one is L, second one is S, third one is C. These are the name of the band. Then it is X band, then KU band, then K band, then KA band. After that, millimeter wave. It is starting from 1 gigahertz, then 2 gigahertz, then 4 gigahertz, then 8, then 12, then 18, then 26, then 40, then it is 0.3 terahertz. So up to this Ka band, we are having all the microwave frequency band starting from L. So it is L, S, C, X, K, U, K, Ka. These are the 7 bands are internationally specified microwave frequency band. So all the applications, whatever the applications we are having, it is within this band starting from L to Ka. But after that, nowadays the applications are been shifting from micro band to millimeter wave. So you will be quite strange to know that microwave frequency bands, as the name itself is having the word that micro, but the wavelengths are not at all in the micro range. They are in the centimeter, but the name is given as microwave. So they are in the up to this Ka band, they are having the wavelengths in the centimeter range. After that, millimeter waves are been started. So up to this, from the name itself, you will find the or you will get the idea that wavelengths are millimeter, in the millimeter range, and for these bands the wavelengths are in the centimeter range, but the name is given as microwave. Okay, so no need to take the confusion between these two. When we'll go with the wavelengths, you will find that for these bands the wavelengths somewhat centimeter, some values in the centimeter. So all those bands starting from VLF, we are having the specified applications. But if we go with this microwave bands, which is commercially specified, which is starting from 1 gigahertz and up to 40 gigahertz, it is starting from UHF. So micro frequency bands, on this frequency band designation, it takes the bands from UHF and some values or some portion in the EHF. So UHF is starting from zero point 0.3 gigahertz, but our specified bands for the microwave, it is starting from 1 gigahertz. So we can say from the frequency band designations or all the frequency bands whatever we can have on this, our microwave bands are starting from UHF and some values in the EHF. So it is starting from UHF and at middle of the EHF. So these are the frequency bands commercially available for all the microwave applications. So our first application is the waveguide. So to guide those high frequency signals, as I specified, that we need a guiding medium to propagate the waves which vary high frequency. When the signal frequency is quite higher, the distortion will be higher. Distortion means in terms of alpha, attenuation constant, and it is the magnitude distortion, and beta is the phase distortion. So when the frequency is higher, we are having quite higher distortion. To avoid those distortion and to throw the signals from the transmitter to the receiver, we have been taking a guiding structure to have the propagation of those EM wave. So first of all, we'll know about the waveguide. So what is this waveguide basically is? So it says that it at high frequencies, that is higher than 3 gigahertz or 1 gigahertz or in this range, the transmission of EM waves along transmission line, whatever our transmission line we have been found till now, that is a two-way transmission line or single-way transmission line, it is having very quite higher distortion on those lines if we are having the signals with quite higher frequency in the range of gigahertz. So the losses are quite high. So we have been shifting from this two-way transmission line to a metallic enclosure or metallic structure. Inside it we have been putting our signals, and the signals have been propagating through those metallic structure. So we can say a waveguide is a structure that guides waves such as EM waves or maybe sound waves. They enable a signal to propagate with minimal loss of energy by restricting them by restricting their expansion to one or two dimension, or you can say one or two coordinates, means it restricts its expansion, that is distortion, in either x coordinate, y coordinate, because other coordinate the wave will propagate. So it restricts its expansion in the coordinates, either one coordinate or in the two coordinate, or either in one dimension or two dimension. So basically it's enable the signal to propagate with minimal loss. That is what the waveguide structure put to this guide waves during this propagation in the waveguides. So they enable, or they have give a perfect medium for those waves to propagate with minimal loss. So you can think of something like that. It is having the similar effect of, let us consider you have been constraining some water within a canal. So when the water is flowing on the canal, then it is not at all been moving in other directions. It has been moving within the desired direction, the water. Or you can say the when the guns have been fired, so from the barrel of the gun, the hot gas expansion will happen that maximize the transfer of the energy to the bullets. So whenever the guns are been fired in the barrel, the hot gas is get expanded on the barrel, because the barrel dimension is very less, the cross section area is very less. So on the when it has been fired, so on the barrel the hot gas expansion is been takes place. So due to that hot gas expansion, the maximum energy is get transferred to the bullet. So it is somewhat the similar analogy, some kind of similar analogy. We can also define something like this: a hollow metallic tube metallic tube of uniform cross section for transmitting EM waves by successive reflections from the inner walls of the tube is called a waveguide. So it is a little bit idea about the waveguide. What is this waveguide basically is? Next is types of waveguide. So any shape of cross section of a waveguide can support EM waves, whatever the shape may be, whatever the cross section we are having, it may be any shape that can support EM waves. But irregular shapes are difficult to analyze. When we have been going for the analysis, what will be the dimension for the waveguide to have for a particular wave propagation? The irregular shapes are quite difficult for the analysis and they are rarely used. That's why some regular shapes of waveguides are considered for the wave propagation. Okay, so basically two shapes have been considered. One is rectangular and that is circular. Rectangular waveguide and another one is circular waveguide. What does it mean? The cross section is of the shape of rectangle and this is has the cross section of a circle. Okay, so we can have this kind of shape. This is the bigger dimension denoted by A. This is the smaller dimension or width denoted by B. This is this outer wall. This outer wall generally it made up of copper wall, and the inner surface, this inner surface, it is basically normally made up of either silver or gold. Inner surface, it is having a very thin layer of silver or gold, or silver. Okay, so it is having the rectangular shape. Same we can have the cross section of the circular cross section. So our analysis will be with the rectangular shape only. So we'll start our analysis with respect to rectangular waveguide. So this is your A, this is your B, it is the bottom wall, this is your side wall, this is your top wall, this is the side wall. Okay. This is your AZ direction, this is your AY direction, and this is your AX. Same AZ, AX, this is your AY. Okay. So on this bottom wall, we can write y is equals to 0, right? On this right side wall, what we can write? X equals to A. On this top wall, we can write y is equals to B. And this left side wall, we can write x equals to 0, right? So we have been recognizing this rectangular waveguide as it is having the cross section of A by B, and A is always greater than B. Okay. So on this diagram, what we can write? It consists of four conducting plane. It consists of four conducting plane or wall which are located at x equals to 0, left side wall, right side wall x equals to A, bottom wall y at y is equals to 0, top wall at y is equals to B. So if we consider the left side wall which is at x equals to 0, then we are having the right side wall which is at x equals to A, we are having the bottom wall at y is equals to 0, and we are having the top wall at y is equals to B. Okay. Now the walls are conducting, so we have been considering that it is having the infinite conductivity. Okay. The conducting planes, first point, the conducting planes are assumed to have infinite conductivity, and it is an hollow structure. So between this hollow structure or inside that hollow structure we are having a medium, and medium between the conducting planes is linear, homogeneous, isotropic, then non-conducting and charge free. So this is the medium which exists inside this hollow structure. Fine. So there exist four conducting interfaces, right? So we have been considering at the left hand side we are having an unbounded medium. Then in the just after x equals to 0 we are having an medium inside the waveguide. Same for this plane we are having left hand side the medium which exists inside it, outside it is free space. So in this way we can have four different interfaces which has been separating two different medium, right? So these interfaces are the walls of the waveguide. Now the tangential component of electric field and normal component of magnetic field vanishes across this conductor interfaces, because there will be no difference. Vanishes means there is no difference in the field. Whatever the field outside, same thing inside it, because we have been considering the same medium. So I am just writing third point, there exist conductor interfaces which are located at x equals to 0, x equals to a, y is equals to 0 and y is equals to b. These are the different conductor interfaces. Fourth point, tangential component of electric field and normal component of magnetic field vanishes across this conductor interface. Why? Because the medium inside the waveguide, it is, this is the criteria of the, this is the properties of the medium which is same as the free space, and outside it is also free space. So if we consider that the wall is very thin, then the tangential component will be same, so there will be no difference between the tangential component inside this waveguide and outside the waveguide. And normal component is also vanish means same, there is no difference. So if you take the comparison, it is 0, that's why it says as vanishes. So these are the concept we have been taking considering the boundary conditions. So in general, if we say the electric field may have all the components, same for the magnetic field, it may have all the component, but we have to choose the component depending upon the direction on of propagation, right? But this waveguide, it is an metallic enclosure. So while the waves have been propagating, it is having some medium which has been restricting the expansion of the waves in one or two dimension. So we can say this structure, it is not at all an unbounded medium, it is a bounded medium. So which are the boundaries? Boundaries are exist at x equals to 0, x equals to a, y is equals to 0 and y equals to b. So if in general we are saying these are the components may consist or may exist in the electric field, but considering our bounded medium, we have to find out the exact component which exists depending upon the boundary. So if we go with the boundaries, that at x equals to 0 and x equals to a, this left side and right side. So on this, what we can say, ey is 0. Why? Because ey is the tangential component, right? Again, ez is equals to 0. Why? Because z is also a tangential component. This wall, if you consider this wall, az, it is also parallel to this plane. Ay, it is also parallel to this plane. So these are the tangential component. So we can say these are the components which vanish on this wall. Same for the magnetic field, normal component will vanish. Normal component here, it is x component. So hx will vanish. Right? Same, if we go at the top and bottom wall at y is equals to 0 and y is equals to b. So on this plane, we need to find out which are the tangential component for the electric field, which are the normal component for the magnetic field. So if we look into this top and bottom plane, we are having the tangential component x, we are having the tangential component z, and normal component is y. So what we can write, ex equals to 0, ez equals to 0, and hy is equals to 0. So based on this specification, we have to modify our electric field and magnetic field expression. Fine? Based on this criteria. Now we have been considered the origin is at the left hand side. Whatever the coordinate system we have been considering, the origin is at the left hand side. The origin of the coordinate system may be at the middle, that is, it separates into two halves. This left hand side, it may have x equals to minus a by 2. Right hand side, it may have x equals to plus a by 2. Or the origin is at y equals to 0. Or the origin may be at the midpoint of this waveguide. So for this case, we may have x equals to left hand side, it may have x equals to minus a by 2. Right hand side, it may have plus a by 2. Then this bottom plane may be at y equals to minus b by 2, and top plane it may be at b by 2. So depending upon the orientation or the specification how we have been specified, we can have different coordinate system. So the most helpful is this one, where we have been considered the bottom plane is at y is equals to 0 and left hand side plane is at x equals to 0. Okay. So our analysis will be starting from the Maxwell's equation. Up to this, any doubt? Anyone? Anyone having any doubt up to this? Medium is not there means? No. You have been thinking something like that. You just try to think. This is the conducting wall, right? These four are the conducting wall. So if we consider on the conducting wall, if it is having certain thickness, just try to understand. If it is having certain thickness, then we know that if it is in perfect conductor, no field can exist in a conductor, everything should be on the surface. So if it is in certain thickness, then whatever the field is going inside to this waveguide, none of them will be goes out. One minute.